Sorry for that technical difficulty. QuickTime closed on us, but I'll just continue where we left off. So I'm going to drag over the stone wall onto the rock here, since he is the rock, and that texture is now in his image. So I'm going to close the stone so it's not taking up any space. So I close the stone wall since my stones are here. Call it stone. Stone head. I'm going to separate these two. All right, I'm going to create a stone head, and then I'm going to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to call it stone neck. All right, so stone neck, stone head. So the neck's going to be a little lower. All right, and I'll turn that off for the moment, so I can just work on the. Oh, I'll put the head on top of the neck. I'm going to turn off the neck and just work with the head here. All right. So now what I want to do is, since I went to all the trouble of creating this mask, I'm going to resource it. And I'll resource it by putting my finger on command, my left finger's pushing command, and notice how that box shows up. And if I click on the mask, it duplicates the mask, it creates a selection. And I'm going to now go to the stone, click on that layer, come down to the mask tool, and I apply a mask to it. All right. Same deal with the neck. Let me do this step by step. So I'm going to turn off the head, the stone head, turn on the stone neck, come down to the rock neck for the rock and stone. Don't want to confuse you guys. Left finger command, click on the neck, come on up to stone neck, and click the mask. All right. So you have a head and a mask. All right. How can we use these textures? All right. Now this is where it gets a little fun. What we want to do now is turn off the linking, the links between the masks and the textures. Let me turn off the stone neck for a second, and let's just work with the face now. Let's work with the head. So what I want to do is show you once again how we can move textures around to select what specific rocks we want to show in the rock. So not only that, what I want to do too is to the actual art, not the mask, but to the actual art. I'm going to come up to edit, and I'm going to use the transform tool, but I'm going to go right down to the warp transform. All right. And what this allows me to do is it allows me to kind of give the illusion that these rocks are kind of curving in his face. See how that's working? Kind of fun, huh? And I can warp those into the structure of his face, and I can bring these in and kind of create the illusion of perspective. Like, the rocks in the front are a little larger, the ones wrapped around the sides, since they're wrapped around the sides, can be a little, a little more numerous. And I think you get the idea just by looking at this. All right. So that's one thing I want to do, and I can click on any button here in the toolbar, and it'll say, "Do you want to apply this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm happy with it." Okay, and I'll turn that off, and now I'm going to turn on the neck, and I'm going to do the same thing with the neck. I'm going to, since I have it unlinked, remember I unlinked it, I'm going to move the content around and say to myself, all right, what kind of rocks do I want to show in his throat here, in his neck? That's a nice, kind of like that. All right. And now I'm going to go once again to edit, transform, transform, warp, and I'm going to once again kind of make it wrap around or kind of make it look like it's working with the neck itself. these little Bezier curves. Yeah, that kind of looks like the distribution of rocks I want in his neck. That's looking pretty cool. So I'll just hit anything and I'll say yes, apply it. Alright, so it's a little more personal here. Alright, now the big change here. What I want to do, and make sure that your stone in your neck and your imagery is above the imagery mask, because what I'm going to do now is just show you how to simply, let's see, beef up the contrast of your imagery by coming up here and clicking on the art and going to adjustments and going to levels. And what we can do is really bring in the darks, make the dark super dark, and let's see, I can make the light super light. Alright, see, I'm going to turn off the preview to show you. This is where we started, this is where we're going. And we can really emphasize those darks and those lights. Same thing with the neck. I'm going to select the art of the neck. I'm going to go to edit. Adjustments levels. And I'll just try to match it with the face. Going to try to make it darker, but make the lights light. Basically, it's like making it highly contrast. The darks are dark, the lights are light, and I'll say OK. Alright, now as a whole, I'm going to select these layers, and here's something I never showed you guys. Alright, in the layer palette, there's normal. We've been working in normal all this time. Now what I want you gents to do is look at multiply. Alright, and what multiply does is it kind of takes all the, it's hard to describe, but it takes the voids out of the content and lets the imagery underneath come through. Alright, so I'm going to go to this layer. It doesn't matter where you click it, whether it's the mask or the imagery. Okay, you want to turn down, and then you go to multiply. Okay, very cool. Now, since you have the rock here, let's see. Let's turn on the rock up on the top layer since we left him there last. Let's bring down the opacities just so we can see where his facial features are. Alright, and what we're going to do is we're going to kind of scrape out the whites of his eyes and his teeth, because even though he's a rock, he's still not going to have rocky teeth, right? I guess you could give him rocky teeth, but we're not going to do that to him. Alright, so now we're going back to how Mr. Blink always talks about using the mask, So we're going to select the stone head mask. We're going to grab the eraser. We're going to make it smaller by hitting the brackets. Alright. Or we can change it here too. Make the size smaller. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear away from his eyes the area there. Let me make this a little brighter so I can actually see his eyebrows and stuff. Let's see. Okay. Same deal with his other eye. So I'm going to go back to the mask. And I got my eraser. And I'm going to emphasize his eyes here. Same deal with his lips and his teeth. I'll make that a little larger. I'm hitting the brackets, making that a little larger. Alright, maybe make it a little smaller to get in a little corner here. Yeah, he's got funny, interesting teeth there, huh? Okay, so there you go. Alright, now if I turn off the guide that I have, now he's looking pretty rocky here, right? I don't want to do that to him. So what I'm going to do, I mean you could, but I'm going to back up here a little. And I'm going to just bring the opacity down a bit. Okay. I'm selecting the stone, and you can always bring these up again, which is the beauty of that. And I'm going, because I want to see his facial features to some degree, right? Yes, I don't want him to look, he looks like the Thing from, the Fantastic Four. All right. Now what I want to do now is I want to go back to my reference on top, the rock. I'll just go 100%. So I can just click it off and on. And look at these highlights here. All right. I still want to show those highlights. There's a highlight here, a highlight in his nose, a highlight in his chin. So let me turn that off. And what I can do is go to my masks, grab eraser, but grab like a pastel eraser, right? The pastels are kind of like down here. And I'm going to create a larger one. Alright. And I can kind of reenact those highlights. Okay. Maybe just along the rim. And what's nice is I got the mask here, so I don't have to be too careful around the edges here, right? As I said, guys, once you get to know masks, they really are kind of helpful. Alright. Maybe get his Adam's apple. Oh, gotta go down to the stone neck. Get his Adam's apple going here. Alright. These nice little edges here. Maybe along his neck here. Alright. See how I'm like imitating back to the head. These little highlights here. Alright. He's still the rock, right? Maybe get his eyebrows. Kind of got rid of his eyebrows. I'll get it, make it a little smaller. And bring in his eyebrows. There you go. It's looking a little more friendly now. Okay. So now let's see. I want to show you feathering. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the background above the pink. Oh, I got to duplicate it. Duplicate layer. Call it body. And I'm going to drag it above the pink. And let's see. I want that pink to come through, or that brick red to come through. So I'm going to apply a mask. And I'm going to get rid of, with the magic wand, the background. Let's see. There we go. That's easy. And get rid of these crumbs on the side here. I'm going to go back to my old-fashioned rectangle tool. Select all this. Hit delete. And let's see. I should bring all this back in this shoulder here. So I'm going to go back, get the marquee tool. Or I'm sorry, lasso. Oh, I should actually have grabbed the brush and brought it back in. There we go. Alright, same difference. Let me add a little more. Brush it in. Okay. Alright, so as you can see, we have this mask here. Now, if I want a feathering around the whole, notice how here in the body, okay, if we turn all these things off, alright, we have the body here, and if I were to put my left finger on command and click it, I could select this particular mask, right? But what I want to do now is select this mask, but what I want to do is feather it, okay, like we talked about in vocabulary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to select, modify, and go to feather. And let's see, 250 is pretty good. Let me even make it up to 300. All right, and what this is going to do, it's going to change or alter or modify, because it was under modify, my selection, or my selection here. So I'll hit OK. And see how it made the shape a little different? And the only way you can see how this is going to work is if I delete the mask I created. This will make sense in a minute. Stay with me. Actually, you know what? Let me just duplicate this in case I need that again. Duplicate layer. Body copy. I'm going to turn this one off. And I'm going to get rid of this one now. Delete layer mask. Alright. But now since I have a new mask and it's feathered, I'm going to hit mask again. Okay, now see that? Just that little subtle edge around him is kind of cool. Alright, what it's doing is it's using the gray of the image. Okay, but it's also using the new background I created. So now when I apply his highlights and his textures, see how that can work together. See how that works together, okay? Just looking at this, I want to erase a little more off his forehead here. Make it a little larger. There we go. Alright, kind of cool. Alright, so now I have this going on. The next thing I just want to do is maybe create a new layer and just create some sort of design element, okay? Some kind of free design where I can change the color later on if I want. So I'll grab green since it's the complement of red. So I can have a red thing going here. I'll grab a brush, make sure I have some kind of fun brush going on here. Make it a larger, make it a larger brush, and maybe just add some textures behind them. And I can add a color layer to it. And okay, just trying to make it look more artistic, more spontaneous. All right, and although I chose this green, I can kind of see how the mask is working in my favor too, kind of creating a cool effect behind them. All right, and what I can do now, let's see, let me erase some of that. All right, what I can do now is add a color layer by double clicking on that layer, and I can just change the color. See, I already did already of that added atmosphere I created. So I'll go to color overlay, and let's see. What's nice about this is you can experiment and you don't have to worry about making any mistakes. But let me get rid of everything here. All right. So now let's see. I kind of like the tone of that. I don't want it to be too um, noticeable. Let's see. Oh, that's kind of interesting to know it's blue. All right. A little aqua color. Kind of like that. And I can just start erasing some of this a bit. Hit OK. I like the layer style. I can scrape away at some of these strokes that I don't like. Alright. You know, and showing that economy. I'm just using the subject matter that's important to me. I can bring things back. I can get rid of them. Alright. And I can also alter. You know, maybe I don't want them to be so bricky, so to speak. I can bring that down a little just to suggest the bricks. You know, it's your design. It's your concept. But see how the control you have with the masks. You know, there's no bones about it. All right. So he is indeed the Rock, and that's what I want you gentlemen to do. I want you to apply a texture to him. I want you to feather an edge, add a little splash. Okay, and this will prepare you for returning to your self-portrait and how you want to convey your feelings. Okay, remember those statements you wrote and how you want to reflect them, how you want to bring in imagery. I could bring in some of the Rock's imagery from his movies or from his wrestling days behind him and apply those with a mask. But right now, I just want to show you to apply texture. All right, hope that helped out and catch you later. Bye bye.